be honest, it actually didn't feel any different to me at all going into the 2007 World Cup, whereas from a media's point of view, it felt a lot different. I still remember the first press conference when we arrived in the Caribbean, and if you remember back, we'd just been to New Zealand, lost 3 or 4 or whatever, 3-0 or 4-0 over there, but I think we batted first every game, got about 320 and lost every game. And so there was a bit of negativity going into the World Cup that we were too old, past our best, whatever else. But reality was, I think we had 6 or 7 guys out of that New Zealand squad resting up to go to the World Cup. You know, I didn't go, Gilly didn't go, I don't think. The whole heap of us didn't go. Anyway, so I arrived and sat down to do the press conference, and I still remember one of the journos saying, "Oh, so how does it feel coming into the World Cup not being favourites this time?" And I'm like, "It's interesting." And he said, "Well, the feeling is that everyone's a bit older, and a lot of your players are on the way down." And every word that he said, the hairs on the back of my neck were just like, and I'm sort of biting my tongue, thinking, "How am I going to answer this?" Anyway, I just said to the bloke, I said, "All right, I want to make sure that you're sitting in that same spot in 2 months' time at the end of the World Cup." And I just said, "We'll see what happens." The fact that a lot of people didn't think we could win was probably just what we needed to spur that group on.
Got over here, got a couple of big quicks over there.
To be honest, all the World Cups I played, that was my most satisfying. Even the 2003 one, my first one as a captain, and getting a big 100 in the final or whatever. This one was more satisfying to me because of the group that we had, because of what the public sort of perception of that group was, and also the conditions that we're playing in. They weren't going to be great conditions for an Australian team. They were more subcontinental type pitches. They were a lot slower and turned a lot more, so there were going to be serious challenges there that we had to adapt to. And I still remember going to McGrath before the first game and said, "Mate, you're not going to be opening the bowling for us in this World Cup." And I was like, can you imagine saying that to McGrath? Didn't go down too well, but he ended up being the player of the tournament as well. So yeah, that was an awesome time, that World Cup.
It's gone again.
Matty Hayden was outstanding though, right through that tournament. I know we had to work hard actually to get him into that World Cup squad.
Matthew Hayden, who found himself back in the team this summer.
There was times during the summer where he wasn't playing good one-day cricket, but I was desperate to have him in because I knew how dangerous he could be in the Caribbean on those sort of pitches. Being a good player of spin and on those slower wickets, he could be destructive, and he was.
Cut away. They are attacking Sean Ponting.
This has been a batting masterclass.
And we had guys like Nathan Bracken that were, Sean Tate, the stars of the show for us, which no one probably would have thought at the start of the tournament.
He's down the wicket and he's played it. Bracken strikes early.
And there's a wicket. Played on. Another short ball from Tate.
We just felt like we were the underdogs going in. Everyone sort of was talking about South Africa and those sort of teams again. And whereas every other World Cup we went into, even '99 when we didn't play well at the start, we were still the raging favourites. 2003 we were the favourites, and 2007 it sort of seemed like the public's perception of where our team was at wasn't as good as what it was internally, and for that reason to go through another World Cup undefeated and once again pretty much peak in a final.
Well, this time launched away, and that's
yes! A World Cup 100 to savour.
For Gilly to do that in the final, that says a lot of things about him, but it says a lot of things about that group of players that we had as well.
That's edged. And that's the breakthrough.
catch it, and he does. Ricky Ponting at mid-wicket. Hold him, that's a big wicket. Another one gone.
And as we know, the finish of that 2007 World Cup final was just an absolute farce.
Australia have won the World Cup of 2007. But will there be some celebrations or what from those guys tonight?
Yeah, I remember the umpires coming to me on the field saying, it's getting too dark. We've got to come back and finish this game tomorrow.
Now what is Alim Dar saying? Alim Dar is in the midst of the Australian team.
there was a bit of rain, and there was a bit of rain during the course of the day, and so I just made sure that I ran through, I bowled spin, bowled Simo and these guys early just to get through 20 overs, knowing that once 20 overs are done, that's game done. Because that was all you needed to complete a game.
The trouble is this leaves an awful taste, not just for the game of cricket, but for the team that have won the tournament.
And so look, if we go off now, I guarantee you one thing, I won't be able to find half my players tomorrow because we all know we've won the game. They'll be out celebrating, like, we won't be able to play.
Now Glenn McGrath's got to put his stump back, Ricky Ponting's got to give the ball back, and we've got to get on with the game.
The Sri Lankans, thankfully, they'd agreed. I think they must have had a flight out that night or something. They wanted to get home, but they'd agreed to come out and face the last couple of overs, which was just literally, I mean, you got no idea how dark it was. Pitch black dark, and to the point where we had to bowl Simo, just lobbing down off spinners because you wouldn't have been able to see anything else. So it was a farcical end to what was a pretty good tournament.
And that finally is that. Australia have won the World Cup of 2007.
It was a good tournament. As I said, looking back on all my times during the World Cup, I think that was my favourite World Cup. It's a pretty special time and pretty special celebrations afterwards as well.
It is a marvellous cricket team that have outplayed everybody who's come before them. They are unbeaten for 29 World Cup matches.
For the third successive time, Australia are World Cup champions.